everyone. This is Gautami, PGT in Zoology from Kasturiba Balikala Vidyalayam and Junior College, Aspari. In the last video, we discussed about respiration introduction and how the respiration will occur in different animals. Today, we will learn about human respiratory system. Okay, human respiratory system, it will start from the external nostrils. Here is the diagram. See here, these are the external nostrils. The air from the atmosphere or the oxygen enters through the external nostrils. External nostrils. These external nostrils is separated by a palate. It is divided into two chambers. The upper one we call it as a nasal chamber. Here buccal cavity it is related to mouth. Whereas this nasal chamber again it is separated into two chambers. This nasal chamber separated by septum. Okay. Septum is a soft bony palate which divides the nasal chamber into two cavities or into two chambers. Each and every chamber again it is divided into three important parts. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. The first part we call it as a vestibular part. Nasal cavity divided into three parts. The first part is vestibular part. Second part is respiratory part. And the third part is olfactory part. Okay. What is the vestibular part? It is provided with, see here, it is provided with hair and sebaceous glands. Okay, sebaceous glands. Okay, these sebaceous glands, they secrete a sticky substance called mucus. These hair and sebaceous secretions, what they will be useful in the part of respiration? They will trap the dust particles. So, they act like a filters. Next, coming to respiratory part. This respiratory part, here, it acts like a conditioner. What they will condition? They will condition the temperature of the air. They will condition the temperature of the inhaled air. Okay, they will maintain to body temperature. Next, coming to olfactory. Olfactory in sense of smelling. This olfactory part, they will not play any role in respiration. Directly they will be connected to central nervous system. Okay, CNS. They will be directly connected to central nervous system for the purpose of sensing of smell. It is olfactory in nature. These are the three important parts present in the external nostrils. Okay, external nostrils, they lead internally. They open into a tubular structure called as a pharynx. Pharynx. Okay. Air enters through the external nostrils. External nostrils, in the nasal chamber, some air is conditioned and some of the dust particles they get filtered and then it enters into pharynx through the internal nostrils. A pair of internal nostrils also there. It leads into a pharynx. Okay. After pharynx, what will be happened? See here in the diagram. Pharynx, there is no structural difference for the pharynx. Pharynx is a common tract for both food and air, through which here it continues, the pharynx continues and it divides, see here, and it divides the part which is connected to digestive system. We call it as a oropharynx. The part of the pharynx which is connected to digestive system or the buccal cavity, we call it as a oropharynx. Whereas the part of the pharynx which is connected to respiratory system, it continues as a pharynx and next it enters into larynx. Okay, this we call it as a nasopharynx. Okay, nasopharynx. The pharynx which is connected to digestive system is oropharynx. The part of the pharynx which is connected to respiratory part, that is larynx, we call it as a nasopharynx. Is it clear? Okay. See, I will show one diagram for you. This larynx continues here. See, in the larynx part, it continues here. The larynx we call it as a sound box or voice box. Because the vocal cords are present here, it is protected by cartilage, 9 cartilages. See, next the nasopharynx opens into a tubular structure called larynx. This part what we are finding here, this is the larynx part. Okay, this larynx part, what is the importance of larynx here? Here, this larynx is made up of 9 cartilaginous rings. What is meant by cartilage? We know that it is a soft and flexible bone. See here, it is lined by hyaline cartilage even. See here, in these 9 cartilages, some are unpaired, some are paired. See, what are those 9 cartilages? Thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, epiglottis. These 3 are unpaired. Unpaired, they are dorsally unpaired. Dorsally means, see here, what is the, so it is a flexible and cartilaginous. We are able to lift, up and down movement we can do because it is a cartilaginous ring. What we are finding here, this part we call it as a larynx part. In this larynx part is only sound is being produced. So it is called as a voice box also. Okay, larynx is also known as voice box because vocal cords are present in that part. Okay, next, carniculate cartilage, actinoid cartilage and cuneiform cartilage. These are paired cartilage. Paired means, you know that they will be like this. They will be paired in nature. See, next this larynx continues as opens into a tubular structure called as a trachea. See here, this trachea is guarded by C-shaped structures. Okay, this trachea, as the air is being passed like this, so it is also known as windpipe. Windpipe. Larynx is known as voice box. Trachea is known as windpipe. Next, and it continues at the 5th thoracic cavity. This part we call it as a thoracic part. In the 5th thoracic vertebra, this trachea is bifurcated or divided into 2 branches. Okay, one of the branch enters into right lung, one of the branch enters into left lung. See here, after dividing into the main branch, what we call it here, branchioles. This branchia divides into primary branchia, secondary branchia and tertiary branchia. Again this primary, secondary and tertiary branchia opens redivided. They are redivided into branchioles. For our easy understanding, there is a flow chart once. Through the external nostrils, the oxygen enters into nasal chamber, right? Through the nasal chamber, it enters into nasopharynx. Okay. Through the nasopharynx, it enters into a larynx part. Okay. Through the larynx we call it as a voice box also. Here through next it reaches to trachea. Trachea also known as windpipe. After this trachea, in the 5th thoracic, here 5th vertebra, in the thoracic cavity, near the 5th vertebra, it is divided into, trachea is divided into 2 branches. Okay. Each branch we call it as a branchia. Each branch divided into primary, secondary, tertiary. And each branchia again divided into branchioles. See, these are the branchioles. These are the branchioles. Okay, these structures. These branchioles again they are redivided into primary, secondary and tertiary branchioles. And each and every, at last the terminal sac here, branchioles, they will be open into alveolar sac. Here is the structure of a alveolar sac. Whatever we find here, these are the alveoli. Okay, they act as a filters. See, actual real exchange of gases will take place in the alveolar sac. Okay, see how the oxygen is entered. Here, exchange of gases. See here, I have written. See, here is the oxygen molecule. Same by the simple diffusion process. See, the oxygen molecule will be diffused into the alveolar sac, and after completion, the same manner the carbon dioxide what will be happened? It will be reaches to branchioles, branchia, trachea, and reverse vice versa. What will be happened? In the same way, in the opposite manner, after the completion of respiration, the oxygen molecule enters into the alveolar sac. In the lungs, exchange will be happened. After that, what will be happened? The carbon dioxide molecule will be reaches to external nostrils. Through the external nostrils, carbon dioxide will be sent outside. Okay. Is it clear? See, during this process of respiration, what will be play an important role? The mechanism of respiration. The diaphragm. What is the diaphragm? What we find is the lungs, right? See here, coming to the lungs, these lungs are placed in the thoracic cavity. How the protection is? They are very extremely protected. How they are protected? By four sides. Once you see, air from the external nostrils reaches to nasal chambers, to the nasal cavity, it enters into pharynx, through the pharynx, nasopharynx, it reaches to the larynx. Here we find one structure called epiglottis, right? See here, epiglottis, it can expect 2 marks question for IPE. What is meant by epiglottis? Epiglottis is one of the cartilage which is present in the larynx part, which it is a leaf-like a structure. It is a leaf-like a structure. It acts like a flipper. It will allow only the air to pass through the respiratory system, because as it is a common passage, there are chances to mix up food with the air. Sometimes, suppose if you are eating some food particles, sometimes unknowingly if you swallow, epiglottis they will send out. Okay, they act like a gate. They act like a flip. Okay, this is the use of epiglottis. This epiglottis we can expect 2 marks question. Okay, after that, coming to lungs protection, their structure. Okay, lungs, how they are protected? How they are protected? Four sides. They are protected in a rib cage. Okay, in the thoracic cavity, this part we call it as a thoracic part. In the thoracic part, see here, dorsal side. On the back, we call it as the dorsal side. From the neck region to sciatic region, there will be a vertebral column. Okay, on the back side, we call it as a dorsal side. Dorsal side, there will be a vertebral column, and ventrally we have sternum. Ventrally we have sternum for protecting the lungs and heart even. Okay, and laterals. These are the lateral sides. Lateral sides we are having ribs. Okay, laterally we are having ribs. Okay, four sides lungs are being protected. Moreover, they are covered with double layered membrane. Okay, double layered membrane called as a pleura membrane. Okay, pleura membrane. Double layered membrane, pleura membrane. In between these membrane, there will be a fluid. That fluid we call it as a pleural fluid. What is the function of pleural fluid? It protects the lungs from the external shocks and mechanical forces. Okay, and friction even friction. Okay, how the lungs are being protected? Dorsally, ventrally and laterally. Dorsally by vertebral column, ventrally by sternum, and both lateral sides by ribs. Is it clear? Okay, see here, and being the mechanism of respiration, coming to point of mechanism, how the respiration is being completed by inspiration and expiration. Here, for inspiration, what are the major muscles plays an important role? Means there are the two important muscles. What are those? See here, it is the part of the diaphragm. Diaphragm is the separation from the abdominal cavity from the thoracic cavity. Okay, diaphragm, it separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. See here, in the diaphragm, they are the phrenic muscles. Okay, see here are the phrenic muscles. These phrenic muscles of diaphragm, they will become flat. They will become flat during inspiration, during the process of inspiration. While we are inhaling the air, the part of the diaphragm, they will become flat. The muscles which plays important role here, phrenic muscles. Okay, I will show you. Muscles which are present in the diaphragm part, they will become flat. As a result, what will be happen? The thoracic cavity and intercostal muscles, external intercostal muscles and internal intercostal muscles, these are present in between the ribs, this part. Okay, here these muscles, what will be happen? They will be expansion. As a result, the thoracic cavity increases. Okay, during inspiration is a active process. Okay, inspiration is a active process. During this active process, the thoracic cavity will be increased. As a result, because of the pressure present, because of the negative pressure, that we call it as a partial pressure. We will discuss about the partial pressure in the next topic, I will say. But remember, okay, phrenic muscles of diaphragm, intercostal muscles of ribs. They play a vital role in the mechanism of respiration. Okay, during inspiration process, the cavity will be increased. Air from the outside enters into the lungs through the passage we discussed in the we discussed now, no? Okay, after that what will be happen? In the same way, at the areolar sac, what will be happen? The exchange of gas molecules will be happen. See here, in the areolar sac also, they contains deoxygenated blood. It will be after oxidation, whenever the exchange of gases takes place, the oxygenated blood reaches to the heart or purified. We can say oxygenated blood or purified blood. It reaches to the heart. Through the heart, through the blood capillaries, it will be supplied to cells, tissues and different parts of our body. Okay, you just remember inspiration and expiration. During inspiration, what will be happen? There will be expansion. And coming to expiration, what will happen? Same vice versa, reverse process. Whatever the diaphragm part, up to now it become flat, no, they will come to virginal position. There will be a contraction. Whenever contraction is happened, the air escapes from the lungs to surroundings. Okay, have you understood how the mechanism of respiration will occur? By inspiration process, by expiration process. Okay, sending in we call it as inspiration, breathing out we call it as expiration. This completes the topic of human respiratory system. Here we can expect one 8 marks question. This is most important for your IPE. What we learned today, it will comes under 8 marks question. What they will ask the question, describe the human respiratory system. What the headings we have to write, I will show in the flow chart. The same headings. The first heading should be definition of respiration, and heading should be external nostrils, nasal chambers, nasopharynx, larynx. We have to describe the same parts and we have to draw the lungs diagram, and we can conclude by writing the mechanism, inspiration and expiration. This completes your 8 marks question about describe the respiratory system in human beings. Okay. Assignment is, what is meant by epiglottis? That is the 2 marks question I said. It is a leaf-like a structure. It acts like a flip. Okay. I said their function also. You have to write and you have to draw the diagram and you have to describe, write at least 2-3 points about each heading, under each heading. Okay. Thank you for giving this golden opportunity.